Hi, my name is Soares. I'm from Boston, Massachusetts. Actually, originally I'm from Brazil, and actually I'm studying, like you. Probably you just watched this. You're looking for a video that's gonna give you a few tips how to get yourself ready for TOEFL. So one of the things I want to talk about is I'm gonna give you 3 tips that actually helped me a lot, um, and how I'm feeling confident for my test tomorrow. And I can definitely feel I'm gonna get a really good score based on my strategies that I've been implementing in the past 2 months. All right. First and foremost is be sure of your English level. All right. Do not go and take the TOEFL test just based on I don't know, just because you think your English is good or just because you want to rush to go to college, but just be very concerned about your English level. TOEFL is not and also know what kind of, just know what's your goal. Take whenever you're gonna take take the TOEFL test. Don't just like jump straight to a TOEFL test just because you think is gonna give you an insight of your English level, or because it's gonna help you to have an idea of maybe use that for immigration purposes. And by the way, I had to let you know, if you're trying to immigrate to a country like Canada, TOEFL is not going to be accepted at all. You gotta try IELTS. So, like I said, the first tip is know how is your English. If your English is good, more likely just because you live abroad, you might have some issues with enunciations. Even myself, I'm living here in Boston, Massachusetts. I do have some issues with enunciations, sometimes with grammar and some word, like even the way, like just by listening to me, I can actually see that I have few issues of word, like the position of words in a sentence, and that can actually, being humble, I know that I have issues and I have to improve that every day, and the only way to improve that is being in contact with the language every single day and get feedback from people who speak the language. That's the only way to improve. Yeah, my second tip is, whenever you're going to study for TOEFL, have more than one source of information. What I mean, like having more than one source. What is going on? Why do I mean like you have more than one source of information? So whenever you're studying for TOEFL, don't do like what many people do whenever they're gonna study for TOEFL. Just gonna have one source of information. Let's say you only study for TOEFL using one book. Do not use just one book. If you have the opportunity to expand your sources, to get different perspectives from different authors of how to score well on TOEFL, please do it. And that's how I developed my own TOEFL strategy. I'm not here to sell you anything in the first place. I don't want you to learn my TOEFL strategy for tomorrow, because I think each person has their own source to score well on TOEFL, and it's not in my place as a person who is also learning English every day, because I live in the United States, doesn't mean like I'm in the better position to tell you which strategy works best for you. You know, you have. I believe in that people building their own strategies to achieve a goal. I don't believe that there is one system that works for everybody. All right. And that goes to topic number 3. Be careful with the e-commerce sellers on TOEFL classes, or we will hire you score like 4 points, 6 points, 10 points, 20 points. First of all, be careful with that. There is no way to improve your TOEFL skills. If you're, first of all, I just realized by studying for 2 months, and that's going to be my 3rd time taking the TOEFL test, there is no better way to score high on TOEFL if you're not familiar with the test and the language. If you're not familiar with these 2 things, there is no way you can get a higher score on TOEFL. There is no way someone can actually get like 190 or 80 score on TOEFL. You gotta be familiar with English. You gotta be familiar with the TOEFL test. because once you know the language and you know the test, things flows like easily whenever you're gonna take the test. So, like I said, be careful. And like I said, do not ignore some of the platforms. They might be really good. They can be very helpful. However, be aware of those promises. Oh, we have the best TOEFL system. Oh, we have the best strategies. Oh, watch my video. Again, it's like e-commerce. Like, like what good example do you remember when people were trying to sell you like, I forgot a good example in the past. Like, oh yes, whenever you go and buy things on, whenever you're gonna buy Bitcoin. Do you remember back in the days, people were talking about Bitcoin's the big thing. It's like, oh my God, it's the brand new thing in the world. Everybody was crazy about it, and everybody jumped on Bitcoin because of those like profits on Bitcoin. So use the same thing to TOEFL. Not everyone knows 100% about the TOEFL. Not everyone has the best strategy, and the only way to get the best strategy for yourself is, like I said on the tip number 2, is broaden your study strategies. Have more than one source of information. Have at least 3 or 4 or 5 books on TOEFL preparation, so you can actually build your own strategy, picking ideas from different sources. All right, that's what I would recommend you to do. So this part of the video now, I'm gonna show you 3 of the books that actually helped me a lot during this time studying for TOEFL. I'm gonna start with I call the Bible of TOEFL, the complete guide to the TOEFL test IBT edition by Bruce Rogers. This book is so good in terms that to help you to get familiar with the TOEFL test. It goes over every single question. For every single question, they have more than 5 different exercises to make you get familiar with the questions and the tricky, and learn all the tips, be aware of the details in the question, and how to effectively score higher on TOEFL. But again, ask any TOEFL teacher, like any TOEFL teacher, they will definitely, more likely they're gonna use this book in some assignment, or might ask you to look for this book to study. That's what on my second TOEFL attempt that I took a TOEFL test, that was our textbook for the class. Another really good book that actually I would say was a complement to whatever I already knew from TOEFL from the Bruce Rogers book is the Kaplan book, TOEFL IBT Prep Plus 2020 and 2021. This book is really, really good. I gotta be honest, they have sections. They kind of do the same thing as Bruce Rogers' book, like going over each question, how you get familiar, how do you find the information on the reading passage. And they have an addition information, which I think is so rich and very helpful. It's about distractors. One of the things I miss a lot when I found this book that Bruce Rogers actually didn't add it to his book is how to use spot like answers on the multi-choice options. Like you have to know which one it looks like trickier, which one is trying to actually confuse you, and not, you will look to the question and not be sure which one is one. And even though you might ended up with 2 choices, and thanks to this book, it really helped me to increase my I would say accuracy, but yeah, accuracy on answering questions, to be quite honest. So it's very interesting that they showed you like key elements of distractors in the multiple choice questions. All right, and the last is ETS material. Here's the official TOEFL IBT test, which comes on a CD. If you buy that online, you can actually have you can download the software that comes on a CD into your your computer. All you need to do is just download it, and you can take all the 5 tests. And the best of all, every single test comes with the answer keys and with some just a little bit of sample answers in the case for speaking and writing sections, which is very helpful. Also, what actually I another thing that I've been using a lot for during this time, I actually bought 3 of the value packages from ATS. For those who don't know, the value packs they are like samples of the past TOEFL tests, so you can actually go over by them and actually take at home, and you can just take the test and see how your score like how your development is doing. So that's why I recommend buying 3. They're a little bit like expensive. I bought the value pack 31, value pack 30, and 29 because they're the most recent ones. The coolest thing about them is because you can actually see your progress in the most accurate sample of the TOEFL test and see how you're doing, so you can actually track that, like your development as you go. So the reason why I bought 3, because I had pretty much like 2 months to study for my test. So I was doing my strategy was, as I started my studies, I'm gonna take one test from the value package. Then after 3 weeks, I'm gonna take another test from the value pack, and after 3 weeks, like today, completed 3 weeks, I'm gonna take another test of the value pack, so I can actually track my development. And so far, I noticed I've been going in a ascendant development because I use this strategy. I've been using these 3 books plus the value packs, and one of the two things I found online actually was a little bit helpful, but was not the basis to improve I wouldn't say that they are essential for my development, but they helped a little bit. One of them was a platform called Best My Test. It's a Canadian-based company that they sell this, like I said, e-commerce based class. I would say that they have a platform that they have many samples of TOEFL tests. I believe are 25 or something like that. 25 TOEFL sample tests, so you can actually see how you develop. But there are some few flaws in the system that I'm not gonna go into much in detail, but I would say be careful. Do not use that as your only source to study for TOEFL, but that is a really good system to actually help you to track your development as you get yourself ready for TOEFL. And another platform that I used was the TST. I didn't buy the product. I would say if I had the chance and a little bit more money, I would have. But as soon as I noticed that they kind of look like a little bit of the Best My Test, I didn't buy it, so I didn't do it. So I used their free stuff, and I have to say the free stuff was very, very, very valuable. Yeah, and I have to say, by using my method, I have to say, I'm not trying to tell you anything, but I mean in order to score higher on TOEFL, is really important, from what I noticed, using my past experience, my 2 past experience and this one. The only way to feel confident about TOEFL is that you have a system ready for your test beforehand. I would say do not just follow pre-made systems that they're saying they're going to guarantee you a score, because I don't think that works 100% for everybody, and that might be frustrating. The reason why I say this is because if I had used the same strategies on my second attempt for TOEFL, which I got a really high score, I got a 95. I think this time I'm going to get a little bit more higher, is because I was able to build my own system and my own strategy using using different strategies from different sources. So I use some things from the Bruce Rogers. I use some things from Kaplan. I use a few things from Pass My Test. But I did not only pick one of them and say, oh, this is the one, and I'm gonna use that for TOEFL. No, I was able to see things that actually made more sense to me as I was going through the process of studying for TOEFL, and I noticed that my strategy that I built for myself pretty much now giving me a really good feedback in terms of getting good scores that will represent to the scores that I'm looking for. So that's what I recommend you to do. Just like I said on the tip number 2, which I think is the most important one, get information from multiple sources. If you can have more than 3 books and read, I would say try as you go through, study all the things that are given to you, and test it every time. That's why the testing, like the test samples, they are there for you. It's for you to see if your strategy or the strategy that you're learning actually works. And maybe it's not working, but you can use few things of that strategy that actually is working and apply to one you want to use for yourself. And that's why I'm a big believer. Create your own source for your tests. Create your own strategy. Don't go on unless if you're really learning about the test and you're a newbie on TOEFL, yeah, definitely go with one strategy that someone is teaching you. But if you can, for your best interest, build your own test strategy. You don't go with this professor or this guy or that girl trying to teach you a better TOEFL strategy. It will more likely not work for you, or maybe it will work for you, but it's not going to be 100% effective. All right? I hope this was very helpful, and good luck.